Hello, welcome to the Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, your friend in hockey, as I've been called. I want to thank our sponsors, Larry H. Miller Toyota in Murray. They've got all the best Toyotas, all those gorgeous like Forerunners that you're seeing with that gorgeous red. They got the clay color. And if
That's where
you've
I got
bought
my.
it, what's you're driving one?
Yeah, that's where I got my truck. Yep.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So, yeah, join the family. Go buy a Toyota from Larry H. Miller Toyota in Murray. Check them out in Murray or at larryhmillertoyota.com. Our guest today, Tim Branham, good friend. Coached me my whole pro career, all 11 minutes.
That was a good
Um,
time right there.
you know what? That was a great time. And I'll have to tell you, I was e-bugging for Kansas City and we had a goalie fight. And they're
Oh,
like, all
oh
right,
yeah,
go in.
yeah.
I went in, I was started stretching, and then they're like, wait a minute, something's not right. So anyway, I got pulled back out. I didn't get to play again, but I was like,
Uh,
I hope it goes as well as it did last time. I was
yeah.
actually more nervous this time than I was last time. I didn't want to
It
ruin
was
my
too
shutout
quick last
streak.
time. Last
Yeah,
time we just got thrown into it. Nothing you could do. Thrown
yeah,
into it on a penalty kill, no less.
yeah, no doubt. A 5-on-3 penalty kill. Crazy.
Made a
Tim,
huge save.
yeah,
Huge save backdoor.
yeah.
I'll never
I
forget
had my eyes closed, didn't know what was going on. Just go out, buy nice Brian's equipment and just let it do its thing. Tim,
it.
coaching with the in the AHL this year, and with the Colorado Eagles, and I love it because it shows the path. Like it's not just players that have to work their way up; it's coaches for the most part. Unless you played, 10 years in the NHL and your best friend is now the GM and stuff like. Because we see that happen,
All the
but
time.
and not saying that those guys don't earn it,
No, there's
but
a reason for that. We can talk about it maybe later on, but there's a reason for that, and I understand it now.
okay, well, all right. Well, let's start. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the path a little bit. And first off, just like, are there players on the Eagles right now that you were still part of the Grizzlies? I mean, that were when you were coaching? Was Trent Miner there?
Yeah, I never coached Trent in
Okay.
the ECHL though. But yeah,
Okay.
Trent's here. Yep, Trent's
So
here. Man, this is like his fifth year here.
he
Yeah,
is tearing it up too. Like, I don't know what you got to do to make the NHL these days because that guy,
yeah.
he's phenomenal.
He's just he keeps proving everybody wrong, and he just keeps getting better every single day. It's his mindset. He's just an absolute professional. He comes to the rink every day looking to get better and has a plan. And as a goalie, like your mindset is everything,
Yeah.
and he has it. That's what gets him through. And why he's so good now. And I can say that he's so good in the American Hockey League. Like we just lost, right? The first goalie he battled against was Askarov. The second goalie that we just battled against, it was Shilov's. Like the goalies he's going up against, and he's right there with them, if not better. It's just kudos to him.
Yeah, and I've been watching it, and it just seems like anymore if you're not a 6'4" goaltender,
Yeah,
the NHL doesn't even want to look at you, and you need guys like Trent Miner coming in and being like, no, we're still good. We don't have to be six
good.
four. We're still
Yeah.
phenomenal and can stop the pucks.
Yep.
Like
Exactly.
I remember Darren Payne complaining when every goalie was like 6'1" and 6'2", and now that doesn't cut it either. You're
Yeah,
six
it doesn't
two,
cut it anymore.
you're not getting drafted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just wondering because it's cool that you were, in the East Coast League. You paid your dues, you worked your way up. The Avalanche said, "All right, let's move you up with, and put you in the A." And
Yep.
now you're there developing guys that are coming from the Grizzlies. So you see those
Yep.
guys come back and forth,
Yep.
and then you get to do stuff like training camp with the Avalanche, and you get those tastes.
Yep.
And is that kind of like a tryout for an AHL coach when they get pulled up?
No, not really. We have a really good relationship with that staff. We're super fortunate to be able to go down there and work with them. But yeah, the development camp will be there in 4 weeks, right? The first week of July, we have development camp. So all those players that get drafted, or the two guys that get drafted this year, and then some of they'll fill the other spots. And then Bedsy and his staff will be there. They might go on the ice. Sometimes they go on the ice, sometimes they don't. Yeah, we've got a really good relationship with them, and it's pretty neat that we get to work with them. Yeah, and then rookie tournament. We're actually hosting the rookie tournament this year. But him and his staff are always there. Yeah, and then training camp. Training camp is cool. Training camp is where we get to be the fly on the wall and see how Jared Bednar does things and his staff, and around the players like McKinnon and McCarr, like just get to watch them guys up close, and we get to go on the ice with them and coach them, and that's pretty special. That's special when we get to do that.
And it's system wide, right? Like they want the AHL players learning the same system,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so it's kind of like, hey, you come here, you coach it here, you coach it in the A. Does it go clear to the coast? Are the Grizzlies trying to play the same system as?
Yeah, and we don't require them to, but I'm pretty sure Ryan does everything, most of the things that we do, right? Like you can't do the same specialty. You can do the same penalty kill. That's fine, but we can't do the same power play as the Avalanche, like we don't have. I mean, we had some pretty good players this year, but typically you don't have the McCarr and the McKinnon,
Right.
of the world, where you just
Yeah.
get the puck and let them do what they want. But yeah, no, but systematically, yeah, it's pretty much in line, because, and it's worked really well. When I first got here, my first 2 years, we ran a different penalty kill than, because I run the penalty kill. We ran a different penalty kill than the Avalanche, and so our guys going up, it was different, right? So now we run the exact same penalty kill, so it's a smooth transition, because let's be honest, like when our guys get called up, they're not going on to the power play,
Right.
right? The Avalanche have one power play, like those guys play a minute 50, and the
Yeah.
second unit, yeah, the
Yeah.
second unit, which is filled with highly skilled players, they get like 10 seconds, right? But our guys are probably more than likely not going to go up and be on the power play. So they got to know how to penalty kill, right? So even if they're star players down here. But yeah, so now it makes it a really smooth transition when they can just go up, and then the coaches don't have to be like, okay, well, this is what we do. It's all streamlined.
Yeah, that's what's always made sense to me is that it'd be the same from top to bottom, so you can pull a guy up, and then it always blows my mind. Your best player is going to get pulled up and be a fourth line guy there, like
And
the
play five
best
minutes.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then maybe get some PK time, but definitely like your main power play guy's the guy they're going to pull up, and he's
Yeah.
not.
Probably. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see, and that's what I try to express to people is the difference in the leagues, like,
Oh,
and into the draft and all that stuff. But it always made sense to me that your guys should know that system, so when they get pulled
yeah.
up, if they do get the chance to play, they know what they're doing, and
Yeah.
it kind of makes them more comfortable too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they don't have to think about it. Like it's already nerve-wracking enough when you get called up. Like if it's your first call up or what have you. Even if like a Chris Wagner from our team, he's played hundreds of games. I don't know exactly how many in the National Hockey League. It's still, I'm sure, nerve-wracking for him when he goes up, right? So when you don't have to think about the system or what you got to do out there, you just go out and play. So which is
Yeah.
which is nice.
Now, weren't you a defenseman?
Yep.
Yeah, and you were drafted at Vancouver.
Yep.
Okay, you've been on the show a few times, and I try to
Yeah.
remember stuff, but as a defenseman and getting the opportunity to coach Makar or be on the bench or watch him be coached,
Yeah.
did you ever in your wildest dreams think that's what a defenseman was going to look like and do?
It's I say it's a treat to be able to go to training camp, because watching those guys from the stands is completely different than watching those guys from the bench. And then it's like completely different being on the ice with them, right? Just they're like Makar, McKinnon, Rantanen when he was here, right? Devon Taves, like those guys are so elite, and they're the hardest workers on the ice, which makes it even better. They just push the pace of practice, right? It's amazing. Like when you want to talk about Makar, it's absolutely amazing what he can do on the ice with his feet. It's just effortless, right? Everything he does is just effortless. And it was pretty cool this year because his brother Taylor is drafted by the Avalanche, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I played at same school, UMass, and then transferred to Maine. But then he joined us at the end of his season. So right, so he came and joined us. So then Kale would come to the games if he could. He'd come into our office and talk to him and stuff like those. Yeah, we have a close organization. And we're all in on it together, which makes things really nice. And then we get to benefit, us coaches get to benefit from that, being on the ice with the Makars and the McKinnons.
Does the younger McCarr have any of the same skill set?
He's a forward.
Oh, okay.
He's a big power forward. Yeah, I'm super. He got to play a few games for us in the playoffs, and then had to go back for some schooling. But I'm super excited to have him. Two totally different players, right? Power forward versus a skilled defenseman. So it's not fair to really compare the two. But he's fast. He's fast like his brother. He's a big boy.
I wonder if there's another one that's a goalie. Are we going to see a McCarr? Because that
Maybe.
makes sense, right? You got to
I
have
don't
them all.
know.
Somebody
Most
had to take those shots.
yeah, exactly.
All right, tell me a little bit what you're talking about. So when we're talking about, sometimes a guy gets a break because he played 10 years with, yeah, with Sakic, or we saw it with
Yeah.
Foot a little bit.
Yeah, no, like I was just like you. I would always have that same comment of, like, wow, well, he got the job because of who he knows, But that's life if you want to think about it. Like if I like let's think about this again. Like if I become head coach of a National Hockey League team, I not only want to surround myself with good people, but like people that I know, right?
And
People that
trust,
I
yeah.
trust,
Yeah.
right? Because we work together every single day for hours, right? Like there's no off days. There's no off days for us during the season, right? There's a death in the family. Like a lot of times you can't go, like I think the world
Uh,
is starting to change a little bit with that, thankfully. And that's kind of an extreme example, I know. But like my point is just like we are together from 6 a.m. until 3 p.m. every day on a non-game day. Game day, it's from 6 a.m. and I leave the rink at midnight, sometimes 12:30 after we're done doing video, So if you don't like the person you're working with or you don't trust them, like you're in for a long season, right? So
yeah.
I completely understand why you got to know somebody to get anywhere, to get a job, to get that advancement and that placement. Like that's how I got the job, right? I was in Utah for 8 years and I loved it. Obviously, it's a wonderful spot. And I'll eventually move back when I retire. I'll live there,
Oh, well.
for sure, 100%. And um, the only reason I got the job is because they knew me. We worked with them for 4 or 5 years, right? So it definitely helps. And Colorado's an organization that likes to promote from within, right? Which also helped me.
Yeah, for sure. And that looks cool. And I want to make sure I'm coming off right too, because I may say stuff like that, but I totally get it too. And I had Nick Olchek on my show recently.
Yeah,
And before we went on the air, we were talking about stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, I get crap all the time that I only got a job because of my dad." He's
he's
like,
good.
"But yeah, oh, he's
I
phenomenal.
listen to him.
Yeah,
I listen to him work during the game. He
yeah.
is good. I like
No,
him.
he's
Yeah,
great, and he's worked his way up. But also, there's another part of that too. Like, I don't know who would even be talking about coaching wise, but um, if you play with a guy for 10 years and you were in the NHL for 10 years with that guy, and now, he's the GM, whether it be, Robitaille or
yeah,
in your case, Sakic or those guys, of course they're going to reach out to guys, but they've already paid their dues
right.
by being able to play in the NHL for 10 years. Or Olchek played his way up. He played juniors, he played college.
Yep.
And also, if your dad has been an NHL player, an NHL coach, and an
Yeah,
NHL commentator, it's in
yeah.
your DNA.
It's in your DNA. Exactly.
You're
You
around it
learn a
all the
lot of
time.
stuff along the way.
In the fire service, and now it's getting harder and harder because of all the nepotism laws, but in the fire service, we want to hire firefighters' kids that grew up around it, that know what to expect,
100%.
and know how to deal with it. Because
And hockey players.
yeah, it's the same. I think it's the same thing. So it makes sense to me. So I just want to make sure I'm not like
Yeah,
insulting
no, no,
anybody.
no. Yeah.
Oh wait, because Dan Heino's a part of that staff there now too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So like he
Yep.
he played with Sakic. Yeah, those guys know each other.
Yeah, they
So
they won a cup together.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. I was super
Well,
surprised to see Foot go to
yeah,
Vancouver. I thought Foot would
yeah.
stay with the Avalanche forever.
Footy was on that team, and then our current GM Chris McFarland hired Dan Heino in Columbus.
Oh
Oh
really?
yeah, so he knows everybody in this organization.
I
Yeah.
did not realize Chris McFarland was your GM. When did that? Is that just a couple years ago that happened?
After they won the cup,
Oh, okay.
Joe became the president, and Chris took over.
Okay. All right, interesting. Oh, I've known Chris McFarland for a long time. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so you say you're going to move back to Utah. You coached here for a long time. I don't think I've really got a chance to talk to you. I don't know what things you can and can't say, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, did you ever anticipate the NHL coming to Utah?
I so I love Utah, right? And so in the back of my mind, it was like, how cool would it be if the NHL came to Utah? Like I could see it happen, right? And then it's like Ryan Smith comes on board, and it's like, oh, this guy, like, he's got a lot of money. He loves sports. He wants to do a lot of good things for Utah. It's like, man, this could be a possibility. It was always in the back of my mind, whether or not we could sell out a barn every game of the year. Yes, that's one thing that I was uncertain about. Uncertain, right? I just
Yeah,
didn't know. I didn't have the answer, right? I feel like I always felt like it was a jazz town, you know.
yeah,
Um, but like the obviously we know now that it's a hockey town too. And
oh,
what
yeah.
I didn't think about was when an NHL comes to a city, like the influx of hockey players and youth hockey is going to increase substantially, right? Which now you have instantly more fans, right? So I'm a season ticket holder for Utah, and I actually went to the very first game. It was wild. I after practice I flew to Utah, went to the game, and there was no flights to get me back for practice, so I rented a car and drove back to Colorado to make it in time for practice because I didn't want to miss the first ever game,
Right.
right? So that was pretty cool. Julie, my wife came, she came with me, and yeah, we had a ball. But yeah, that's my thoughts. That was my thoughts on Utah.
Yeah, it's funny to talk to people that have coached here and been around it because everybody's like, it's a, and I even talked to Theo Fleury was on the show, a few months ago, and we
Yeah,
talked about how he thought even way back then, and I think he played 40 games here, 24 games. Like he wasn't here that long, and he had a huge impact on this market. But
yeah.
he's like, I always thought Salt Lake was one of the best places to play, and he
Dude,
played in the Delta Center.
everyone says that. Like, there's not one person that I can talk to in my circles that have been to Utah or Salt Lake City and not liked it.
Oh,
There's just so much to offer, right? Like, I mean, maybe I don't know. You've been there your whole life, but it's just from the beauty of it, the mountains, the people. It's all. I'm from Wisconsin, right? So it's all like Midwest kind of people that live there, right? In my opinion, and I know it's got tons of sports and skiing, and it's just there's no better place. There's no better place to live.
it's funny when the players started coming in, and I was talking. They'd be on my show, or I was helping some of them find housing and stuff like that, and just find restaurants. And everybody said the same thing, but in a different way. Everybody found part of home. Whatever, people thought this part reminded them of Toronto, or this part reminded them, like Park City reminded everybody of Finland or Sweden. And they're like, so I
Bam.
found a place that reminded me of home. Yeah, Banff.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, I never thought that part about Utah. I knew we had a lot to offer, but to hear all these NHL guys come in, maybe except for Keller, who's just like been living in Arizona on has a golf course in his backyard. He's like,
Too
well,
young.
yeah. So yeah, anyway, it's like everybody found a piece of home here. So it's very cool. Um,
And you know what else? All the players, because I know some people on the staff, obviously, and I don't know Ryan Smith, and it's great that you talked to him. You should mention this to him if he doesn't know. I'm sure he does. But anybody I've talked to that is a part of that organization is saying how first class he is making it and how well he is treating the players, and which I'm not surprised by, right? But like, it's hopefully he knows. Hopefully everyone's telling him, and he's understanding that what he's doing is a great thing.
I think he gets it. I think, I guess I'm just more surprised that that surprises people. I always thought the NHL was, all hearts and rainbows. I didn't know that it was that there were teams that weren't. I guess I always knew Arizona wasn't treated that well, but it just seems to me like, and Ryan, there are, he went to the Oval and he dropped. They're like, well, it's going to take $5 million to get it where we want it. He's like, fine, make
One
it
year
happen,
for one
do
year.
it,
Yeah.
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 And they're like, well, you're going to be here for 1 year. He's like, the players have to have the best of everything. So, yeah,
That's
it's amazing what he's done. And yeah, and now we all get to reap the benefits. of everything they're doing. There's going to be a double rink practice facility open in September. They left all the stuff at the Oval, so there's offices and stuff there for
Yep.
people that are running camps, which is
Yep.
includes you, right?
Yeah. Yep. Or
Um,
other bigger things. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, tons and tons of great things,
Yep.
and just so many changes coming to this market. So Tim, talk to us a little bit about. Well, before I move on to your clinics and stuff, I wanted to know a little bit more about the pathway. Do you plan on staying with the Avalanche? Or like, is this the hope is to go to the NHL, just like everybody else, right?
Yeah. I would love the coach in the NHL.
I know it's a stupid question. I know it
Like,
will.
but like we just talked about though, it's so difficult. And
Yeah,
you like the timing has to be perfect. You got to know the right people. Um, do like you can ask anybody, like you can ask Danny Highnote, who's been there, our old coach Greg Cronin, our old assistant coach from last year, Steve Konowalchuk. Like, is our staff good enough to go to the National Hockey League and do a good job? Yeah, 100%. Right. It's just a matter of getting that opportunity. Do I want to? Yeah.
of course.
I don't want to go to any other organization than the Avalanche. I've always been treated really well by them. I've got nothing but awesome things to say about them. They're a first class organization. The only way I would leave is if it's another NHL job, and
Right.
that's where I get my shot. I've got other passions in my life, which we'll probably talk about here in a little bit, which might make sense to some people. But yeah, I would love to get to the NHL, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, and I know it's a dumb question. I wanted people to know that there's a path and that
Yeah.
everybody. It's tough. Like
It's
I
hard.
watched I watch every position for the Utah Mammoth when it opens. There's a million people that want it. There's probably 1,000 people that are willing to do what it takes because it's not a 40-hour work week. You don't work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, no matter what position it is, coaching, the PR guys,
Exactly.
the equipment staff, everybody
Exactly.
works so hard. And unless you're playing, you're not making that money. Like
Right.
it's it's not
Exactly.
great. Yeah. So it's not great money, but you got to love the game to be there. But and it's like you said, you got to know somebody, you got to have paid your dues somewhere to get any spot in the NHL.
Yeah. And there's various ways of doing it, right? Like you can win championships and move up. You can know someone and move up, or, you know, like me, I coach the defense and the penalty kill. And, the last 2 years in particular, like we're top five in our league in every single category, and that's it. No one's called me. It's like it's so difficult. It is so
Yeah.
hard and so difficult to move up, for the reason that we just talked about. Like, you got to know someone. Like, so my friends are starting to get jobs in the NHL, which is great, right?
Yeah.
And then every time, like, I work with a Steve Konowalchuk who played for the Avalanche and played 900 games or whatever, 1,000 games in the NHL. Now, and then I'm kind of in his circles, and then Danny Highnote, now I'm kind of in his circles. Like, you just gotta know somebody. And that's the easiest way, and do a good job. You've obviously got to do a good job. It helps to build a relationship with those two guys that I just mentioned in particular. Because they played so many years, they know so many people, and then it's like, I've been working for a long time with Aaron Sheetloth, our head coach, right? We were assistant coaches together when I first came here, and now he's been the head coach for 2 years, and then his circles, so
All
we're
right.
starting to all get intertwined. And maybe one day it'll happen. But yeah, it's got to be a perfect storm, and you've got to do well along the way, you know
Yeah, and then you see guys like Glenn Gulletson that he's in the East Coast League one year,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden he's in the NHL. Like
Yeah,
I know it wasn't all of a sudden, but it was pretty quick.
it's pretty quick. I think he went to the American League first,
Yeah,
and then boom. Yeah.
yeah. I have one of my most embarrassing stories from being an e-bug. I can't remember who he coached in the coast. Was it?
Las
Yeah.
Vegas.
So I dress, I e-bug for them, and then I shower after the game. I was with them for 3 games or whatever at the Maverick Center. And I get out of the shower and I'm standing there in a towel and I just put lotion all over and I'm like flossing my ears and doing whatever. And he comes over, he's like, "Hey, I'm taking off. I just wanted to say thanks." And he shakes my hand and I had lotion all over the back of my hand that I didn't realize I had. He goes, "What the?" And I'm like, "Oh
What is
man, I'm sorry." And he goes, "Oh,
that?
I should have waited till you were out of the shower anyway." I'm like, "No, I'm sorry." I'm like, I grabbed him in a towel and he's like, "Ah, it's just lotion." He's like, but I'm like, "Oh my hell." Most embarrassing thing. Um,
And so speaking of him, right? Like once you get your chance in the NHL and you do well, like then you're there forever. Right.
yeah,
And like him, look at
yeah.
him. He obviously does a good job. He's been on benches where the head coach has turned over, I believe, like three or four times, and he has withstood the test. Right. So he's obviously doing something really good.
Yeah, well, he was a pretty impressive person. Um, so tell us what else you got going on this summer. And man, what a series! First off, what an amazing series you guys played.
Yeah.
I knew it came down to that game 5 for you guys,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's summer.
Yeah,
But
we were just talking about that, like, because we just did exit meetings with all the players, and then we meet with our GM. Well, what do we want the team to look like the next year and stuff. And then it was just like, it's over. Like,
uh,
it's over. Like, I just said, you spend every day with these people, hours and hours and hours and road trips and flights and hotels, and you're on the bench and ups and downs of a season and wins and losses and penalty kill struggles, like all that. Like you live this the last umpteen months with these guys, and then all of a sudden, just like that, it's done.
it's
And,
so
and
crazy.
you get sad. Like I legit love that staff. Our staff was so good this year, from our video coach, who's a girl, by the way, Kim Weiss, to Matt Zaba, our goalie coach, obviously Aaron and Danny, and our support staff. Like, I literally love that staff, and it's so sad that I didn't go in today. I'm so we were talking about that. It was sad, and but it just that's sports. That's the way it goes. We could easily be playing right now, right?
Yeah.
Game 5, anything can happen. They've got an unbelievable goalie that we talked about. We've got a great team and a great goalie. Like, whoever, I'd be surprised if they don't win. We figured, like, whoever won this series was going to win the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
So came
Yeah.
down to Game 5. We always knew it would.
Yeah. Looked like it. So what do you got going on this summer? You're coming back to Utah.
Yeah, yeah. I come back and forth. So my wife's from Bear Lake, so her parents still live there, and so we go back and forth, Bear Lake and here, and then obviously with perfect skating, and Branham hockey camps. We spent some time in Salt Lake City too. So, but yeah, so we got. I've had the hockey camp, the Branham hockey camps for quite a few years now. We run one in Ogden and we run one in Logan. Good little, like, fun skills camps, just
Right.
you know 9 to 4 kind of thing. And kids get introduced to a variety of everything, and we have a good time. We should have a good time doing it. So yeah, we got that. And then in September we started Perfect Skating. Perfect Skating is a franchise, and all the locations are in Canada. Denver has a Perfect Skating, and Utah. Those are the only 2 locations in the United States. So a guy by the name of Sean Allard started it.
Is
Um,
that how you say it? Is a lard?
Sean
I've been
Allard. Yeah, I think so. He hasn't corrected me ever. So
Okay, because I kept calling him, because obviously Utah drafted his kid,
exactly. Yep. Yep.
and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I kept calling him Owen
Okay.
Allard. But
Yeah, I think it's Allard. Yeah.
oh no, but
Yeah.
he's phenomenal, and I'll tell you, and it's funny because you and I talked about this a little bit. I was sitting in the stands at the Dev camp with Greg Lieb,
Yep.
and I look like we both saw something, and then we both kind of looked at each other and we watched this kid for a minute, and then I looked him up. I'm like, I don't even know who that is, and I looked him up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's Owen Allard, or
Yeah.
however you want to say it, and I'm like, that kid can skate.
Yeah.
Like, he stood out. And Lieb,
Yeah.
who's one of the best skaters I've ever seen, was like, yeah, there's something different about him. So I
Yeah.
kept trying to get the coaching staff to say something about him, and they won't during dev camp. They're like, we're not going to get excited about guys skating circles. I'm like, but did you see him skate those circles? They're amazing.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
that comes from that perfect skating, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I imagine it does. his dad started Perfect Skating. So his dad was Sean was the skills coach for the Avalanche when I got the job with the Eagles, and so that's how I got introduced to him. Right, like he would come up and run our players through skill sessions, and I was like Sean, what is this? Like I've been in hockey a long time, my entire life, right? And he was doing things that I was like, whoa, like what is this? And he was like, oh, it's just some drills that I do, and then it kind of came out that I heard about perfect skating, and I'm like, what is perfect skating? And then he just told me, it's basically like private, semi-private lessons, basically, right? With kids out there, and it's just a different methodology. So basically, what Sean did was he's from Ottawa, and he partnered with the University of Ottawa and CCM, and he purchased a 3D motion camera, and he wanted everything that we do to be science based. And so all of our program, our methodology, everything, it's all science based, right? And so that's what he did. He created this method, this program, and now there's a few different programs, but yeah, and then he started. He obviously Ottawa's the first location, and then yeah, he just slowly grew and got over 30. I think it's over 35 locations now across the two countries. And then so I was like, well, like, I'm an entrepreneur too, right? And so my wife owns a business in Utah. She rents out marquee letters. It's called Alpha Lit. So you might have heard of that. So like we're just kind of like entrepreneurs, right? And so I talked to Sean about it, and I I knew this would go really well in Utah, and I knew Utah needed it. And it just happened to be perfect timing. I knew I wasn't going to be there right away initially. I wasn't going to be there, so I needed the right people to run it. So I had a couple coaches that have been doing my hockey camps for a few years, and they're going to school coaching, and I had to convince them to move to Utah and run it. And once they said yes, I was like, all right, let's go. We're going to do this, and then literally a few months later, the announcement the NHL is moving there, and then Owen gets drafted by Utah. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a perfect storm of everything, right? So, yeah, it all just happened to work out in the same summer, and then so yeah, like I said, we started in September, and everything's going really well. We partnered up with the Junior Mustangs. We're going to be running all of their youth lessons for next season. We're doing some stuff with Logan as well, and then now the Oval Dogs too. They want our team to get over there and run some skill sessions for them. So yeah, it's growing. And it's a really good program. I tell everybody this, and this is true. Like, I own a Perfect Skating franchise because it's the best. Like, I don't say it's the best because I own it. I literally wanted to own it because it's the best thing out there for hockey players, for development, for skating and skills. Yeah.
So, and you're still doing the Branham hockey camp too. So you have both
Yep.
things going on. If a parent is listening to this right now, and by the way, last time you were on the show, I had a decent reach. I have a lot more people listening now because of the NHL. So like
Yeah.
you talk about the
Yeah.
perfect storm, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, how do we get on the both? How do we get perfect skating, and how do we get into the Tim Brown hockey camps?
Yeah. Branham hockey fills up real quick. So if you want to get on that, it's branhamhockey.com. We probably have, I think we have 10 spots left for our Ogden, and that's going to run July 30th. I should pull up a calendar in July 30th to August 4th. I believe that's the time frame there. Let me pull up a calendar just to make sure. Sorry, so that'd be July. Where am I at? This isn't right. Yeah, July 28th July 28th to August 1st. That'll be the Ogden camp. And then August 4th to the 8th will be our camp in Logan. We only do the 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah, that's www.branhamhockey.com, and you can pick your stuff from there. Perfect skating. It's kind of winding down. We do have our impact camp, and there's like 4 spots left in Logan. There's 5 spots left in Ogden on Wednesday. So that's filling up real quick, obviously. We only allow 15 kids on the ice at once, kind of thing. With perfect skating, we have much smaller groups, right? We want it to be more intimate and really highlight the coaching aspect of it. So
And
but
that's going all season.
I go year round with that. Yeah. So the perfect skating program runs through the winter. Okay. So that's going to start up again in September and that'll
Okay.
go 40 weeks. So,
Wow.
yeah. So each one is 10 weeks long. So if you sign up for perfect skating, our perfect skating program, it's 10 weeks long. You skate once a week for 10 weeks. And then a new one starts over, right? And we also have a SAM program. It's called Small Area Movement. We call it SAM. And that's more like, the methods and the movements that you learn in perfect skating, you now do those in the SAM program, but handling a puck and in tight spaces. That's basically what the SAM program is. And that's another program that you can sign up for through the winter season. Yeah, we're coming to a close here. I think June 23rd, I believe, is our last one. And then our impact camp starts. So our impact camp is like they're half days. So you can sign up for a full day if you want, but they're half days. So you'll go on the ice once for an hour. You'll go off the ice for an hour, and then it's a video classroom as well for 45 minutes. So that's the half day. So you can go either morning or afternoon for that. And again, Mondays, every Monday, we're going to be in Logan, and then Tuesdays and Wednesdays we're going to be in Ogden.
Okay.
So that's what we
All
have
right.
going on. So so for that website, it's Canadian. So it's perfectskating.ca. So if you go to www.perfectskating.ca and then choose the Utah location, all that stuff will be on that website right there.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, I'm excited about everything you're doing, and I'm just I know you're gonna make the NHL. I know that, and maybe I'm not supposed to say that stuff, but I've I enjoyed our time together with the
Yeah.
Grizzlies, and it's funny that I that's happens to be when I got put in, and that all worked out. It was fun, and it's been fun to watch you in Colorado, and I wish Kano. Where did Kano end up?
Connell's head coach now in Springfield, the American League.
Okay.
Yeah, with St. Louis organization.
Yeah, and it's just fun to see guys that I've known, as players or whatever. I just like watching people be successful, and I have no doubt that you're going to keep being successful.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, so thanks so much for being on the show. Is there anything else you want to say before I let you go?
No, that's it. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you having me on, and I just love keeping in touch with you. It's likewise. I like to see you have success, right? So, um, Utah will always be a place in my heart, and I can't wait to get back there one day,
Yeah, well,
full
just so
time.
happen there's an NHL team here too, so who
I
knows? Like
know.
you could be coaching here too.
Yeah,
You never
but
know.
the issue with that is Ryan is such a good owner. Everybody came over from Phoenix gets a new 3-year deal because that's
Yeah,
the guy he is.
look,
So I gotta wait.
believe me, I know because that's why I'm still fighting fires. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
supposed to be a job available somewhere in there, but everybody wanted to work for Ryan Smith, and you know what? He's just a classy guy, and it's just makes it just fits right in with Utah. It makes us look better, and I'm telling you, the luck that we're starting to have, like with the draft and with all this, it doesn't work
Yeah.
for the Jazz. Apparently, they're
Yeah,
not getting the same
apparently.
luck with the draft, but you do good things and good things come back, and it just seems to be working out for the Utah Mammoth.
Yeah, you know what? We're also actually we do a bunch of Perfect Skating does a bunch of stuff with Utah Mammoth. We're heading up some of their learn to plays and continue to plays. We run the ones in Ogden,
Oh,
which I think is super important. Yeah, like he's Kristen Bonus runs that, Nate Martinez, like they do a good job of trying to grow the game, get more players out there. So all we're trying to do with these learn to plays and continue to plays is get more kids exposed to the game, right? And then they just kind of filter to those youth organizations. It's partnered up with the NHL. The NHL gives a set of gear to these kids, and it's a really good program. So I mean, if anyone's listening and they want to get their kid into hockey, like definitely put them in one of the learn to play programs at the local rinks. Most of the rinks around are doing it, not
yeah.
all of them, but most of them are. But yeah, my team is running the ones up in Ogden.
Yeah, I know the goal is to make it as big as the Junior Jazz, and
Yeah.
they're doing everything they can to make it be that way.
If that happens, 70,000 kids. If that
Yeah,
happens, it would be insane.
Utah would be the hockey state. It would be the
Yeah.
state of hockey.
There's just so many more, hurdles you got to jump through to play hockey, right? Because it costs a lot more money. So there's a lot more hurdles. So, but yeah, I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Ryan Smith. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I agree. Well, Tim Branham, Colorado Eagles, they're gonna make it next year. Next year's your year.
Yeah.
But you're gonna. I'm hoping you have to do it without Trent Miner. I want to see that kid in the NHL. I need him to make the NHL. He's just phenomenal. He's a phenomenal
Played a couple
person.
games this year.
Yeah,
He
I
did.
saw that, and I thought he did pretty well.
How about that? One more story. So yeah, he played against the Blackhawks. He played against the Capitals. So he's one of the goalies who faced a shot against Alex Ovechkin that didn't go in.
Yeah,
So Budweiser sent all those goals. You saw this, right? Sent
yep,
all. Yeah, so I've seen the can that they sent to him. It's so funny. He's
that's
just gonna put it
phenomenal.
on his mantle. How cool is that?
That is so cool. So cool.
So cool.
All right. Tim
All
Branham
right,
from the Colorado Eagles, and that
sounds good.
is the Utah Puck Report.